Hi. Today I have a few thoughts. Um, the last one that I had, it was like I wrote it down and basically read it off. I wasn't really in the creative mode. It was about the same subject about loving yourself. So there's two ideas here. One comes from your left brain, and one comes from your right. And that's when you're just like talking off the top of your head. And the second one was when I actually got down to it and said, well, what does that mean? So it came out of the logic part of my head. But today I have probably just a series of questions and maybe some thoughts, and it's about loving yourself. And the first thing is, well, does loving yourself really work? Is it worth it? Um, and is it in contrast to being loved by somebody else, such as the big thing, God? And is loving yourself better or worse than loving others? I mean, should you love yourself first, or should you love others? Some people say that if you love yourself, you're going to get into pride, and that's going to be your downfall. And other thing is, if you think about it, what good does it do me to love others? I mean, so many examples of people getting stepped on and rolled over, and that's because they're quote unquote loving others. Okay, let's go into a book that I have read extensively called the Bible. St. Paul in 1 Corinthians 13 said basically that if I have everything, and he gave a bunch of examples, but don't have love, I have nothing. But I just read it again and around it, and he didn't say whether it was loving others, loving God, loving ourselves. So there's a question there. What does it mean? And so some thoughts is, how can loving yourself or be better or worse than loving others? I mean, if it's bad to love yourself, then how can it be good loving others? It's all love. So the other thing is, I think that some people say that a human being can be moral inherently. And I go, that doesn't show up in the world. I mean, there's so much chaos and evil that I don't think people are just morally loving others. No. I think a human being, it acts in his own self-interest. What he thinks is good for him, he will do. And a lot of times it's not moral. Sometimes it's self-preservation. Sometimes it's like protecting yourself or striking out at others or something like that. So if we look at it like that, if we're going to appeal to people or be able to talk to them, we have to say they're doing this because they're just trying to live their life. And they're acting it out. So it comes down to personal responsibility and accountability. And then if I act in a responsible and accountable way, that's in my own self-interest. Because then I am taking the ball and holding on to it, much less running with it, is that if I become accountable and reliable to myself, means I'm loving myself. And then when I transfer that out to other people, that means I am loving other people, and that's a consistent thing. Then it becomes in my life, and that works in the world too, is that it needs to be taught that we are accountable to ourselves, responsible to ourselves, and we're also to others. And I think that's how it relates. You know, you can talk about love, but I think accountability and responsibility is the works, the effect of love. And if you can, if you can appeal to a person's self-interest, they will, tend towards it being moral. Because if you can say this would do you good, they say, sure. So, thanks.